Test delivery mechanisms can vary all the way from static forms, where a test is delivered in sequential order, it's always the same, 10 questions, 15 questions, 20 questions, to randomized questions, to randomized distractors or answer options, to item banking, to linear on-the-fly testing, all the way to what we consider one of the more complex and rich methods, which is adaptive test delivery. The foundation of the adaptive test is in the setup of the items. So in this case, I've built a vocabulary test, and within each of the items, I've set up what we call attributes. You can create your own attributes. If attributes already exist, you click the Show All, it'll show what's available. But basically, the drivers of the adaptive test, in this case a vocabulary test, are three values: difficulty, discrimination, and randomization for guessing. We do support 1PL, 2PL models, but I'm going to show you a 3PL model, meaning it's using all difficulty, discrimination, and randomization for guessing. So if I click Finish here, you can see all of the items have the same attributes. They've got values that differ by item. They're somewhat fictional, but this is a good example of an adaptive concept. I have 123, let's check it, 123 different vocabulary items. They all have attributes in them. In the section settings, I can establish a cat test. So I click on Adaptive Cat, and I click on Yes. So I have now enabled adaptive delivery. I'm going to say let's make the items 10 and the max items 15, and the target standard error is 0.62. That determines the system, or the engine starts to say, yeah, I feel pretty good about the stats I have on this person in establishing their theta, or estimated ability. System's now going to ask you, what are you using for difficulty? I didn't get too creative. My values match this, but if yours is called monkey, you can just click on monkey and it'll know what to do with it. So I've picked those for guessing. So up here we've established termination rules. Minimum of 10, maximum of 15. If they hit the target standard error, we can stop them at 10 or 11 or 12 or wherever they hit it. The item selection method is another major piece of it. It says, how do I want to pull the best items? We can pull the most informative item. The benefits are we get the most informative item. The drawbacks are your most informative items get overexposed. So there's an additional item selection method called randomesque that allows you to pull, say, the top 5 most informative items, randomize them, and give me one of them. So it gives you a little more variability, not the direct most informative, but one of the most informative. And then the mathematics here, the logistic or the normal metric, whether you use 1 or 1.7, so we'll leave it at 1. If I hit finish here, I now have an adaptive test. There is two additional attributes that need to be done for an adaptive test to work. Number one, all of your items have to have a correct answer. The engine today does not support personality cat, so this is cognitive ability or right-wrong type cat. So you need to have a correct answer for each of them. And secondly, you need to have a score that is an adaptive theta score. In this case, I've got an adaptive theta score, but it says calculate for adaptive section. I have to pick the section. I could have 5 of these in a given test. It scores at the section level. So I've set up my items all have correctness. My items all have attributes for difficulty, discrimination, and randomization for guessing. And I have a theta score. So I should be able to click on the eyeball and preview this adaptive test. It's going to give me somewhere between 10 and 15 items out of the 123 that are in my section. And there's a great little tool we have as authors. You can display the adaptive information. So as I take this test, it's going to show me my ability estimate and standard error. So I chose concrete. Let's say that means clean. If I say event, that is an occasion. It's going to tell me, hey, you got that right, and your ability estimate went up. Your standard error is going down, so it's going in the right direction. Gratify means to please, so let's try to get some of these right. A seamstress sews. Exclude means to eliminate. So you can see my ability estimate, I'm going to make this a little bigger, my ability estimate continues to go up because I'm getting these correct, and my standard error is going down, which means the system's getting happier about me. Mesquite's a tree, but let's say I'm not so hot at this and I say it's an office. Now it's going to say your ability estimate just went down. I got it wrong. There's an arrow going down. However, my standard error, it's still learning more about me. Abandon, we give up. So I went back up there. Decelerate means reducing velocity. Pennant is a flag. So I've now taken 9 items. So it may be enough to let me quit. I'm going to click tractor, even though it's a raincoat. And I went down. My standard error is 627. So I've delivered 10 items, but it hasn't reached my standard error yet. So it might go all the way to 15. Jolt is to jar. Yep, it hit me. So I've delivered 0 through 10, which is 11 items. Here's my ability estimate. And my standard error has reached below 6.2, which is what I set up in that formula for my adaptive section. So it says I'm good. I got 11 questions. It says I'm good. It could have delivered 15. As I click finish as an author, as a candidate, it would say, hey, thank you for participating. As an author, it breaks it down. It's let me see my theta score, my total points, what I got wrong, what I got right, and lines that up for me. So it tells me how long I spent on each question. So that's a really handy thing for testing your test or making sure it's working as intended. There's another great feature for adaptive testing over here called validate. So I could click on this validation button and I could run 100 different simulations, and it'll say in those simulations how many unique forms could be shown. I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. Under the adaptive cat section, I clicked 50. I ran that simulation. It might take a few minutes. But what it's going to tell me is what's that true theta? Did we get a reliability estimate that we're happy with? In this case, the reliability was 0.6403. Target standard error at 0.62. If we change the parameters, number of items to deliver, we say 15, max number 25, and the standard error is 0.4, we should see this reliability estimate change. So you can start to monkey with your numbers or vary your numbers and see how that reliability changes so you get happier with your results. So that simulation concept can be really handy. And all you have to do is go back in here to your adaptive information, change it from 12 to 17, make this 0.58, click finish, and see how your simulation changes. So that's a little bit about computer adaptive testing. It needs to have a theta score. It needs to have right-wrong questions. You need to establish the attributes by clicking on the tags and attributes for that. And then in the section settings dialog, you establish how you want your cat test to behave.